Yesterday, Senator John McCain died, 4 days short of his 82nd birthday. He faced death the way he faced life, with valor, honor, and integrity. John McCain served his country for over 60 years as a naval officer, a prisoner of war, a congressman, a 6-term senator, and a presidential candidate. Over that time, he became a national treasure, occasionally ornery and profane, but a politician who placed principle over party and earned his reputation as a fighter and a maverick. In July 2017, Senator McCain learned he had glioblastoma, a deadly and unforgiving brain cancer. Our Lesley Stahl joined him for some straight talk about how he lived his life and faced his death.
The story will continue in a moment.
Last summer, he invited us to his ranch just outside of Sedona, Arizona. 24 acres of old-growth trees, a family of hawks, and a rippling creek
Ready?
that his dog Burma likes to swim in.
I'm wondering if when you're up here, if it's like medicine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Puts everything in perspective.
He and his wife Cindy raised 4 children. They survived 2 grueling presidential campaigns, a battle against melanoma, and then this.
You're taking both radiation and chemotherapy. Yeah. You look terrific. How is this possible?
I feel fine, and I'm eating everything that she makes me eat, none of which is
any good.
Yeah, exactly.
Spinach.
One criteria to feeding people that are under my situation, it has to taste lousy.
He has been through so much in the torture, and you were put in solitary confinement. He's always been the indestructible man.
Crashed 2 airplanes.
Crashed in 2 airplanes and walked away.
Yeah.
Is he still the indestructible man to you?
I'm still in disbelief that this actually has happened, and then I think, you know, cancer chose the wrong guy, because it's not going to happen here.
How are you?
Determined to stay in the arena, Senator McCain resumed his duties in Washington. You'd never have known it, but he started his days with chemo and radiation, and then headed off to a full day of work.
Come on, guys.
Including chairing hearings of the Armed Services Committee.
As leaders of our Navy, you must do better.
I am more energetic and more engaged as a result of this, because I know that I've got to do everything I can to serve this country while I can.
Now, you have the same cancer that Ted Kennedy had.
Yes.
Does what he experienced go through your mind? Is it?
Oh, yeah. I think about Ted a lot. Ted stayed at his job, kept working, kept going, even when he was in a wheelchair. And he never gave up because he loved the engagement.
The senator first learned he had a problem in Arizona last July, when doctors found a blood clot over his left eye after a routine checkup at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. He was driving back to the ranch when he got word.
I was driving up here, and I got about 2/3 of the way up, and my doctor called and said, "You got to come back." And I said, "Hey, today is Friday. I'll just come in on Monday." And she said, "No, you have to come now. It's very serious."
You turned the car around and went immediately into surgery.
Yes, they thought it was serious enough that they had to act immediately.
And before the blood clot operation, did they mention glioblastoma to you?
Yes, but as you know, doctors are interesting.
They cover themselves,
as
don't
you
they?
know, I kept saying to them, "Tell it to me straight." "Well, there's always this, there's always that, you know." And I said, "I can take it, just tell me." And then they were more forthcoming.
5 days after the surgery, lab results confirmed he had glioblastoma, the brain cancer that took his life.
What did they tell you about the prognosis?
That it's very serious, that the prognosis is very, very serious. Some say 3%, some say 14%. You know, it's a very poor prognosis. So I just said, I understand. Now we're going to do what we can, get the best doctors we can find, and do the best we can. And at the same time, celebrate with gratitude a life well lived.
Was he that tough?
Yes, he is
really
that
was.
tough. Yep.
Just 11 days after his surgery, he returned to Washington against doctors' advice for the vote to repeal Obamacare.
You walk out onto the Senate floor. You thought it was going to be normal, empty, mostly empty. And the entire Senate is there. They stand up. They give you an incredible ovation. What went on inside?
Oh, I got very choked up. And then, of course, you know, all of them coming over and giving me a hug. It was deeply moving. I had never seen anything like that.
So you get all this affection, and then you give them this speech, was a kind of scolding to the people who just stood up and loved you. This was a speech condemning the way the Senate has been operating.
We're getting nothing done, my friends. We're getting nothing done because we keep trying to find a way to win without help from across the aisle.
2 days later, as the repeal Obamacare vote was underway, McCain was subjected to urgent lobbying by Vice President Pence and the president himself over the phone. And yet, at 1:29 a.m., McCain delivered the dramatic and decisive thumbs down as a dejected Majority Leader Mitch McConnell bowed his head. It was a huge defeat for President Trump, who had mocked McCain's Vietnam War record.
He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
There are some people who think that part of your no was to get back at the president, and that the thumbs down was kind of more like a middle finger to him.
If I took offense at everybody who has said something about me or disparaged me or something like that, life is too short. You've got to move on. And on an issue of this importance to the nation, for me to worry about a personal relationship, then I'm not doing my job.
But the fact is, his personal relationship with the president had been fraught. Last summer, he wrote an op-ed saying the president is, quote, often poorly informed and can be impulsive.
Do you worry that he's not fit for the office?
First of all, I believe in our system. The American people selected Donald Trump to be president of the United States. We have to respect that. Second of all, he has a very strong national security team around him, who I know has a significant influence over him.
How would you describe how the president is handling his job so far?
Well, I think he's handling it in a fashion that is unfortunately not predictable. The one thing your friends and your enemies want is a predictable path. Lesley, he changes his statements almost on a daily basis. I don't know what he's going to do tomorrow, or say tomorrow.
Did he ever apologize for saying you're not a hero?
No.
If the president wanted to have a rapprochement with you, would you be receptive?
Of course. I've supported him on national security. I've supported
personal,
his team.
I'm talking about man to man.
Sure, I'd be glad to converse with him, but I also understand that we're very different people, different upbringing, different life experiences.
What do you mean by that, and what does it make you think about it?
He is in the business of making money, and he has been successful, both on television as well as Miss America and others. I was raised in a military family. I was raised in the concept and belief that duty, honor, country is the lodestar for the behavior that we have to exhibit every single day.
The son and grandson of four-star admirals, he was the first to admit he was an imperfect man.
That's when they captured you.
Yeah.
Though he made real sacrifices for his country.
When you think about your horrible time as a POW, with the torture and everything, do you relive it? Or has it now faded so much that you can almost see it as if it happened to someone else.
Listen, the joy of my life was the bonds that were forged between me and my fellow POWs. They were wonderful. We fought together. We loved each other. We would tap on the walls to each other. I look back on that experience with a great deal of pride.
Do you think that this diagnosis has changed you?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Same person?
No, I think you've got to, you just have to understand that it's not that you're leaving, it's that you've stayed. I celebrate what a guy who stood 5th from the bottom of his class at the Naval Academy has been able to do. I am so grateful. Every night when I go to sleep, I am just filled with gratitude.
Since the diagnosis, you've never once had that, I guess, that feeling in your stomach of panic?
No. I have feelings sometimes of fear of what happens. But as soon as I get that, I say, wait a minute. You've been around a long time, old man. You've had a great life. You've had a great experience. I want when I leave, that the ceremony is at the Naval Academy, and we just have a couple of people that stand up and say, this guy, he served his country.